Hello everyone, this is Shannon Flummerfelt for Flip Schools. Welcome to the Understanding Instruction series. This short video is going to walk faculty, if you're a faculty member, through the process of identifying the stakeholders of instruction. This is important to understand who your stakeholders are because as we look at instruction and try to understand it. And if we simply examine instruction as a process, then we need to be very clear about who those stakeholders are. So let's just take a quick walk through this. And this video is in a series of 5. So, go ahead and listen to all of them. And this basic understanding will be carried forward into a tool called value stream mapping. What are stakeholders? Let's make sure we're clear about this. When we talk about stakeholders of instruction, we are talking about the key people who either receive or participate in instructional processes. Stakeholders, instructional stakeholders are students and faculty, administration, and parents could all be potential stakeholders. So let's, for instance, take a look at 2 examples. Let's examine students as stakeholders of instruction and parents as stakeholders of instruction and see what that might mean in terms of really understanding instruction. If we were to take a look at a student as a stakeholder of instruction, what we would want to do is take a look at the instruction that's being delivered in a classroom and begin to step into the shoes of that stakeholder. So if you're a student walking into your classroom and experiencing what does this classroom, the processes, the instructional processes, the practices that are happening in this classroom, what does it look like from the viewpoint of the student? And then what we would do with a stakeholder, if the student is a stakeholder of instruction, we would begin to ask a question. What is value added for students to do in the process of instruction? And so this is kind of an interesting question for us because we know, for instance, that we do a lot of things to try to improve instruction. We might buy curriculum, we might use flipping in the classroom, we might change the seating chart around. We might set up learning labs. There's all kinds of things that we can actually do as directors of instruction in the classroom. But what we need to make sure that we're focusing on is understanding whether or not any changes that we might make are actually adding value for the student in the process of instruction as it's seen by the student. And so this is kind of an interesting question because, of course, students in our classrooms until they get to be at least in high school, they're not adults and they're not capable of making fully mature decisions. But yet we need to be able to understand whether or not we're allowing them to fulfill the role as stakeholder of instruction. And if we can't answer that question, if we really don't know, then it's really hard to be able to begin to ask the second question, what is value added for students to do in the process of instruction? So these are very interesting challenges for us. And as we move into the flipped classroom and as you try using the flipped technologies, you'll want to think about this. There are lots and lots of interesting and different kinds of things that you can do with flip technologies in your classroom. And in fact, flipping does change up the rules, roles, and relationships in a class. And as a classroom teacher, if you can really stay focused on understanding who are the stakeholders of instruction here in my classroom, and if you identify students and you need to be thinking about what's value added for them. Here's another example. We know that parents play a role in the instructional process. And if parents are stakeholders of instruction, what is something that's value added that we can do as faculty from a parent's point of view that really, adds to the process of instruction? If you're a faculty member and also the parent of a child who's in school, then you get to kind of see this side of things. But if you're not, or don't really have a sense of that, you do have to take some time to think about this and begin to understand, is this really value added? So for instance, if you're flipping your classroom and parents can watch videos with students, or if you have newsletters or websites, or the ways that you communicate with parents, you need to think about it from the standpoint of, look, this parent is an important stakeholder in the instructional process. I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing is value added for them. Because really, if it's not, then they're not going to be highly engaged. So these questions here, these two examples of students and parents are just two examples of stakeholders of instruction. But to be able to, first of all, identify who those people are, who those stakeholders are, sometimes is harder than it looks. And once you understand who they are, just to be able to walk in their shoes and see it the way that they see it in terms of what's value added, it really, really help to be able to tap into these people, because as your stakeholders are experiencing a value added instructional process, that's empowering for them. There'll be a lot more that they'll be able to do in terms of being attached to, affiliated with, emotionally excited, intelligently engaged. So hopefully this will just prompt your thinking a little bit, and you'll go ahead and listen to some of the other videos in this series. If you want more information about flipping, you can visit the Flip Institute website at theflipinstitute.com. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video.